Okay. A little late night tea sesh, huh? It's about 9 o'clock. And when I got up today, it was like 2:30, something high up there. When I come back from a midnight shift, I just try to go to bed for a while. It can take some time to fall asleep, and then by the time I do fall asleep, it's like at least 9, 10, and then I actually sleep, and then it's 2 when I'm actually getting up. So when I did get up, I felt like I needed an extra burst of coffee to get me going. So that's what I was on today. It's an interesting because I was definitely just more fatigued today. So when the coffee hit me, it was like sitting still and staring and just like feeling the energy build and but not having the actual motivation to get up yet. So it like took some time. It actually felt like the same way as me trying to get out of bed. So, um, yeah, getting out of bed and having coffee on set was a little bit of the same thing. When I did get moving, though, it became like eating. That's a good thing to do, right? Yeah, that's like one of those requirements of everyday living. And that sorry, I'm a little bit distracted while I'm trying to make tea and recite my day. Why am I reciting my day? Anyways, I actually had a pretty good productive day though when I did get going because I um just started cleaning up stuff in my house. I'm trying to prepare my space to be open, welcoming tea space. I mean, really right now I'm seeking the ideal home environment for myself to enjoy. It's just taken a pretty long time because organizing every little bit of your house and moving things around is one thing in general, and then having to navigate that with like a broken foot and starting to sort of shuffle walk here and there but not like totally having the strength for it, and then I just also like deciding on things, what's going to stay, what's going to go. um my living situation has changed with the roommate. No longer have a roommate, so now I'm just also trying to reimagine how to do things, which is also why I want it to be a tea house space because, well, I do want the company. Well, if I have this whole place to make my own, then I like to make it my own. I don't have to describe past that. Simply put. So, um, I just my system for having the recycling was like right beside the door and was just piling up because it's one of the last things that I wanted to deal with when not walking. So I really tackled that today and burnt whole bunch of paper that I was saving for a burn pile and hang out by the fire. But eventually it was just too much. So I did a fire today and I'm going to have another fire at some other point, hopefully later in the week, that I might have some people over for a tea house sesh or drum circle sesh. Definitely want to be running drum circles here. That is one of the goals, and I'm just going to start putting it out there soon. Drum circle, my house. So, yeah. So anyway, looking at my front door is like so much easier on the eyes to see all that garbage cleaned up. Oh, yeah, let me just take a moment to relish in that. Okay. So as I said, I was having coffee earlier today, and it did get me very productive. I did get a whole bunch of things done in the house. Um, and then I just took a late shower and washed off makeup that was just hanging on for days or reapplied for days, but I don't know. I guess I'm in this lazy sort of mode where I'm just not removing it every night and becoming dark raccoon eyes, which is, I don't know. It's a symptom of doing all these night shifts, I suppose. Oh man. Yeah. So this is my first cup of tea, and I am very happy to receive it. It is a Shang pour of unknown origins, but I think it's think it's a couple of years old, if I'm not mistaken. I forget. I think that's the only thing that I can actually read that's in like um English script on the package because the rest is in Chinese. So I think it was like a 2022 or 2020 or something. So anyway, it's quite a nice fruity one, and I'm gonna drink it. So very good. By the time this recording reaches you, I probably skipped ahead like a good minute or so. That cup really got me down into a deep state of meditation. Oh, wow. It is just amazing how calming tea really is. The medicinal effects of it. Well, if you've never heard of in tea, there's yes, it has caffeine in it, like coffee does, but it also has L-theanine, which is like an anti-anxiety and calming protein. No, amino acid, maybe. Anyway, tea has L-theanine in it, which is like an anti-anxiety and stress relaxing thing. So where yes, it caffeinates you, but it also calms you down. So even with the coffee in my system, well, I had my coffee and then I started cleaning and I did all this stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like a little, well, I was caffeinated and not jittery. No, I was like, I had like a good thing going, but then all of a sudden I was like shaky. I'm like, oh, I've done all this and I didn't even drink any water and I haven't had a lot of food. So let's let let's eat some food. So I had to kind of recover that way, do some cooking, eat some food, etc. So um yeah, because I find coffee to be an appetite suppressant for me. I can drink coffee and I can just do a bunch of things, but then it really comes down on me. Whereas tea, on the other hand, I prefer its effects a bit better, that I start to feel hungry very quickly. So I either try to eat something before I have tea, so then I can just go into my tea session a lot more just relaxed and already fed, so that I don't have sometimes I can have an achy stomach if I don't have something to eat with it, or whatever. So I don't like eating during the tea session because I'm enjoying the tea so thoroughly itself. Uh, so I don't want other flavors to come in and distract from the 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 rich flavors that are actually going on with the tea that I'm experiencing. So it's a very touchy subject, actually. I feel like I have to like solve this problem every day of my life. What do I want to eat? What's going to be good? What do I have before the tea so that okay, I think I was on a rumbly roll somewhere there, talking about what to put into my stomach before a tea session or whatever. So one sec, I'm gonna just scooch this table over and my phone. Okay, um, and then oh, lo and behold, the battery dies on my recorder, and like I was already aware of that. I like totally was looking at the battery level, and why is it down low again? I just changed the batteries. Now it's still okay. So it goes, not watching for days and you're just having fun recording and etc. etc. It can't last forever. Batteries die. We also need to recharge ourselves and go to sleep. So do the batteries, but forever. Okay, there's my mention of death for the day. Okay. Um I'm just gonna make another steep of tea here and let it tell me something that I can say. It's a chance this doesn't even become a podcast, and it's just me talking to myself while having tea, but it's to get me back in the zone. I've been away from recording for a little bit, I guess, for podcast wise. Well, I did my last podcast was actually an interview with my friend Megan Hill about her book. So that was my last speaking of tea that went up. But it's different though to have been interviewing somebody and having conversation like that rather than just me talking on here, which is what I started to have a huge passion for. So here I am returning with nothingness. I decided not to come on with a specific subject exactly and just let whatever I want to talk about come out, and I think that's always a good time. That's generally what's happened with the other podcasts. Well, a couple of them I had the intention, like the black tea episode. I definitely have materials ready to talk about it and describe its processing. And then my other one that was about the album that I made, which was also very much planned. However, I do like to approach this in a more of a Taoist way with an empty mind. And the only thing that is center, the only thing that is actually happening for me is having tea. Yeah, that's a very Taoist, Zenist part of the tea practice. So I'm going to sip this. So good. On that note, I think I'm going to pull out the Tao Te Ching, because it happens to be beside me. The Tao Te Ching. So, for those who don't actually know what it is, wow, how do you describe what the Tao Te Ching is? The one that I have here is, as far as I think I'm aware, it's a very common one for the English readers. It's a English translation done by Stephen Mitchell. So he has like the verses for the Tao Te Ching, and then in the back he has a whole bunch of actual chapter notes for describing what they are, which can be very helpful because it's a whole different kind of philosophical read. So there's 81 chapters in the Tao Te Ching, and it's I don't know if proverbs is the right word, but it's all these sort of poetic things about Taoism. And let me just read one and maybe I'll get a better sense of it, of describing it. All right. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that cannot be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. When I read that, I think about how the empty mind tells everything. What it says is that the Tao is something that cannot actually be fully described. It is a concept in and of itself that is indescribable. But you can feel it and you can know it. You can be very in tune with the Tao. However, actually describing what it is, it completely takes you away from the thing itself. So the closer you think that you might be getting, the farther you will be. And it doesn't really make sense in a lot of ways, especially in the Western world with how we approach learning about things and becoming a master of something, right? Because we take a course. We take a course, we go in not knowing much about a subject, but intrigued by a subject. And then we are given tests to prove our knowledge. And then by the end of the semester, there's a final exam, and you get a grade that says you know 75% of the material or 93% of the material. And then you feel good that you studied and you performed pretty high in the standards of in the eyes of your teacher, and so you passed, and so you are marked more knowledgeable than you were when you started. With the Tao, it's basically saying the more you think you know, the less you know, which I can put out. I think I talked about this in a prior podcast, but now get back to that. Well, I'll describe that now because all right, because the more when you do start to know something, you start to realize how much more there is to know. So knowing a lot about any particular subject, tea, because I always talk about tea. So me starting to know about green tea, realizing it's the same plant as black tea, as is pour and white tea and oolong. It's all coming from basically the same plant. Okay, I know that now. And then I'm told that, yeah, it's the same plant, but there was a lot of different varietals. There's Camellia sinensis. Sinensis is Camellia sinensis. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the other word right now. So a smaller leaf and a bigger leaf, right? So the oolongs are coming from these larger leaf varietals, and that is these ones that are more rolled up, and then they open up a lot more inside the pot. And then that some types of a lot of black teas are using a full leaf, whereas green teas are more traditionally just using the very fresh bud that's poking out in the spring. Oh, okay, so there's these differences in tea. Okay, now I know a lot more about tea. And then there's all sorts of different varietals that can be in the same country. So in this area of China and this one, there's different kinds of tea. Oh, okay. And then there's different styles and flavors that are coming from different terroir across the world. So in China, there's tea that tastes a certain way due to the soil and the climate. And then in India, and then in Kenya, there's tea. And even there's some tea in Canada. And that is very different and takes on a whole other feel and flavor. Wow, okay, so the more I know, the more I'm going to get to know, because now I can go and look up more books and more things that have been studied about it. So can I say that the tea that can be told is not the eternal tea? Do we know the origin plant in this world, where exactly it was the very first tea plant when it began to evolve? No, we will never know, unless we go back in time. Okay. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. So in naming something, in naming the tea plant, I'm still just going to point to that as my example here, because it's just whatever. It's just going to be easier. So the tea plant is more pure in essence. Camellia sinensis, I'm talking about. Camellia sinensis, that is making the tea plant. That we produce. If we never actually named it, it is far more eternally real. Like if we just pluck the leaves and we drank from them, there's just this purity of essence, because this thing was not yet named, and we can feel it. Because when I have tea in front of me, when I steep it, I know what it is and what it's supposed to be, because it's been named. So it takes away a little bit of the essence of what it truly is, like in its heart. You can compare this to, like, knowing somebody for who they are, and then somebody telling you something else about them or making them into some kind of a stereotype, and then it sort of diminishes who they really are. And And so it takes away from that true unnamed essence. So free from desire, you realize the mystery. If you aren't desiring anything, you are more free to be in this world of mystery and imagine. And that darkness is not scary. Darkness is in fact the source of all things. We shouldn't be afraid. Okay, so I'm going to go into the chapter notes here. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Lao Tzu is the one who originally wrote these. Just tense po chui poet in Santa Communion wrote, "He who talks doesn't know. He who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us. In a book of 5,000 words, if he was the one who knew, how could it have been such a blabbermouth? That's a problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in the traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach not mind, not Buddha." The monk said, "What about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I will tell them, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Nor, oh, Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses, so simple that every child understands it, and yet, as Banke said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question! Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness, according to the oldest biography. Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chao, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is a legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The text reads, the Tao that can be Taoed, one meaning of Tao being to express, is not the eternal Tao. Other possible renderings, the way that can be weighed, like a weight, is not the eternal way. The force that can be forced is not the eternal force. You realize the mystery. Infinitely marvelous, yet as ordinary as sunlight. Impossible to know, yet as easy as touching your nose when you wash your face. The source is darkness. Because none of our senses can perceive it, it is also called light. Because the less we obstruct it, the more radiant we are. The gateway to all understanding. In order to understand, we have to remain in the darkness of not knowing. Well, it looks like the fresh batteries that I put in are going to die. Again. I'm just going to pause this, I suppose, and get more batteries. Okay. Wowee, round 3. This is a fun game I'm playing here. Oh, look, the battery actually seems to be completely full this time. Well, I think that there's probably, with 4 batteries going to this machine, probably like 1 or 2 of them were dead, so then it affected all of them. I'm gonna go and find out if there's a way to test batteries, and so I don't have to actually throw out all of them, but spare the 1 or 2 that might actually still have some juice left to them. Okay. And I am making my 3rd cup of tea. I didn't really drink much of the last one because I ended up doing a lot of talking. See, this is a problem with me doing this. But I make a fresh cup of tea, and it's wonderful, and it's hot. And then I keep talking, and then I let it go cold because I don't want to be like sitting here drinking and slurping on you while I'm having it. But anyway. Okay, I'm gonna hold it in my hand so then I remember to drink it. All these strategies I do. Well, like, okay, doing gongfu cha is actually a very good mindfulness meditation. It can actually take a while in developing your practice to be constantly remembering your tea. But when you can master it or enough, then you're on a good way. So, like, what I mean is, you can do multiple steeps. And then, but if you're not focused, you could be wanting to do other things along with having the tea. So you might actually I might actually pour in the water into the teapot. I might pour the water into the teapot and let it steep. And then I might go and be like, oh, I have a couple of seconds here. I'm going to go pick up my phone and look at an email or a message. And then I get distracted by that. And then it steeps for too long. Then I've ruined my cup. I've ruined that round of tea. I've even ruined future rounds of tea because then I've oversteeped in this one. And then where I could have lasted this many more steeps, the flavor is not going to be as strong, or it's going to start fading away a lot faster because I used a lot more of the essence in the steep that I felt it messed up. So then I can choose to drink it really hot or bitter and overdone because I just want to drink it, or just pour that out and do my next steep. Right, so there's that. And so there is a focusing on your steeps. There's also focusing on the steep time, getting your temperature right to achieve the best cup possible. So part of the practice is to be always making the best cup of tea that you can at any time. So if you are focused on what you're brewing, I mean, if you want to be simple about it, you can just be only experimenting with black tea. And always with black tea, you just use the water boiling hot, so then you don't have to play with temperatures. But still, achieving the right timing and the right time to pour it out is a whole it's a whole matter of exploration. You might be getting used to pouring it out a little early, so then it's not as strong as it could be, flavor wise. You might like it really a lot weaker in flavor, and that's fine. But you're always going to be making it like that, but maybe you end up experimenting, pushing it a little bit farther. So pushing your capacity to appreciate the flavor of the tea. And then, I mean, I really don't ever push my tea to being bitter. That just tends to only be on accident. But then again, I mean, my capacity for bitter is probably a lot higher than a lot of other people's capacity for bitter because I'm just so used to it. I like this dark beverage. I don't drink a lot of sugary things. So I mean, if I'm having like something sweet, I typically want a hot cup of tea to go with it to wash down all the sugar. I think I'm just growing more sensitive to it over time. So yeah. And right now I am having tea by steeping it in my little teapot, my Yixing teapot. Which sometime I'm going to actually have to measure it because I'm not really sure how many milliliters it is, but it's like in the, I don't know, probably 150 milliliter range or something like that. So I just I'm pouring it into this bowl, and so it's all going hot into this like little tea bowl that fits in like both of my hands really comfortably. But whereas like with gongfu cha, if you've ever had tea with me, I would have been pulling out these like little cups, so they're a lot smaller, and pouring it into a fairness pitcher, and then pouring across 2 or 3 cups, however many people are there. And that's also very typical, and that helps to cool it down a lot faster too, and then you can sip it easier and get to know the flavor a little bit better. And sometimes I do that when on my own, but like I'm pretty often just using these bowls because it's I don't know, it just feels simpler, I guess. It feels makes it feel like it's a bit more of a personal tea session. But at other times I will use like the small cups, and then I'm just every time I'm wanting a refill, I just go pour it into the cup. So I drink one cup fast and then refill it. So then that even keeps me even more centered when I'm talking about the mindfulness meditation of it. Because when I'm pouring into the bowl, it's a little bit easier to, I guess, like let it go and forget about it. But then knowing that there's more liquid to be pouring into the cup, and then I drink that, and once I finish drinking that, I can go right to the teapot, prepare the next steep, and pour it out. So it's just kind of keeping me moving and keeping that energy flowing. And then as you're going into it, then you slowly become, well, more caffeinated, but you're also calmed because your mind is slowing down pace to not be thinking about things outside of this simple practice. It helps to calm your mind and bring you to a more mindful state. To use the same words over and over again. Sorry, that bothers me myself because I'm a poet and I like creative words and phrases. Okay, one sec. Even still, that went cool on me because I kept talking. So what I wanted to say there is the simplicity of this practice is that you have this tray in front of you and you have this activity in front of you. And if you can put your phone away and put away other distractions, then you can really focus in on this experience, then other things melt away. If like you have concerns about your job, friends, different things going on, you're stressing about bills you have to pay and all sorts of things that come up in human life because our world is so busy and keeping us so occupied with so many things. Having this simple practice just pulls you away from that. And that's why I wanted even to make this. Speaking of tea, know that I would always have the center point to come back to if I lost track in what I wanted to be talking about. And it seems I've made it all about this time. Oh. I'll pour it onto my hand a little bit. It's not bad. I'm used to getting burnt. Tis the teen life. Ooh, drippy, 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 drip. La da 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 da. Tea time is playful. I get to sing to my leaves and whoop, make silly noises and ding, play a little bit of music. Tea time, fun time. And sometimes life can get so busy that you don't even get fun time in the day. So if you can make tea time fun, then you got that version of medicine that was needed too. Well, I'm thinking about perhaps it might be time for a little card pull. Not sure how long this one's going to end up being, but I'm going to hop up. So just a second. Just as I'm talking about being mindful and not doing anything else, I am going to go and stand up and grab a card to pull. Hold on. Ah! Shit. Go back for you. Oh dear. Okay. I think thing got knocked loose and out of. Okay, no. Oh, but the. Oops. Headphones are not in. Headphones are not in. Okay. Whee! Click. All right, we're back. Okay. Oh, jeez. Ah. I don't have to admit all this, right? On podcast. I don't know if this one's going up. So, I got the Crystal Medicine Oracle written by Rachelle Sharman. Yes, this is the first Oracle deck that I ever bought for myself, and I got it because the person who wrote it has my name. And that's just a very rare thing. And when I looked at the deck, when I saw it was like it says it's shamanism cards, I was very much drawn to it. In terms of my wanting to learn more about shamanism and discover what it is and its practices and medicines, how I can apply it in life. And well, it just, yeah, felt very connected. Because nobody gets the name Rachelle, or spells it the same way as me. It's just so rare. Rare that people get my name correct when they read it, so. So many ways that people can make up saying my first name and get it wrong. I don't know. Anyways. I am shuffling the cards right now. And I am going to, excuse me. I want the most desirable outcome for all who are meant to hear it. Going within. The card is number 13 in the deck. And all right. Nice. The card is called Going Within, and it's about an inner world, and the crystal attached to it is boji stones. All right. Going Within. This card and medicine have come through for you today as a message that it's time to focus your attention and energy inward, to go within and discover the answers to your current questions. In truth, everything we need is already with us. And when we can take the time to stop and be still and journey within, we are blessed with a deep knowing and self-awareness. Over the years, humanity has created a world with an abundance of energy and experiences outside of ourselves, which can be a huge distraction when trying to connect to the guidance and support that is alive within us. Have you been looking for answers outside of yourself? Have you been distracted by outside influences? Are you experiencing a lack of clarity in life and feeling overwhelmed and confused? Are you pondering a question and not sure of the answer? Well, it's time to go within and find your guidance. You're being called to drop into a deep space within yourself to receive the clarity and answers to your questions. It is a powerful time of journey to the inner realms to revive your medicine, a time to follow the beat of your drum. From this place, profound connection and awakening will occur. Medicine, the inner world. Many tribes from across the globe worked with and have very similar understanding of three very powerful spiritual worlds, the inner world, middle world, and upper world. You can visit each world by using intention, meditation, or deep states of trance. The Celts would enter the worlds through the trees, while other civilizations had their specific guided rituals. In all three worlds, specific medicine is offered to take back to the physical world, then offered to the client for healing and guidance. That medicine is found in the inner realms. The medicine that is found in the inner realms is that of the animal spirits, each of which has their own wisdom and energy to share. These worlds are truly sacred, and you must feel a deep honor and respect when entering into them. Crystal, the boji stones. They assist with going within. They provide medicine to journey to the inner realm or inner world of shamanism. They are also related to balance. In some ways, I feel like I've already done my going into my inner world because of me creating podcasts, and I created a whole album in the past month too. and it feels like I've really gone within and created things from within myself, but I also resonate with the feeling that it's trying to teach me here as well. Um uh, I since I've been creating so much, I've also been going online to promote all of the things that I've been working on, to share it with the world and get more exposure with it. And but then I get a little obsessed with how many views am I getting, who's commenting, is somebody, or I check my phone and there's nothing actually that has happened, but I'm so used to opening up social media. If that resonates with you, well, you're not alone. A lot of us are doing that. But because I'm also aware of what it means to be doing that kind of behavior pattern, I I I'm opening up an app and I'm like, all right, external validation. Here we go. Oh, one more like or view than the last time I checked. Excellent, excellent. I've got my fulfillment. Like, yeah. External validation is what it is to be constantly on those things. Um right, because we have everything we need inside of our own hearts, just like the card said. When you go within, you start to see that. You ask questions and you already have the answers, really, because you're aware of the questions to be asking. So if you have the right question, you're going to come up with the right answer. But when you are in a more of a meditative place, you will find yourself asking the correct questions and then feeling or hearing those answers within yourself. Um, and I mean, there's only so much I can do of that if I'm trying to promote my work. So, um, where I totally understand the message, perhaps I have to better understand the balance that it takes to be doing all that. I think balance is a bit of what I need to be teaching, or you're learning, sorry. Um, when to go inward and when to be um expressing myself externally, I guess. Right? So it's sort of like someone who's introverted and extroverted, when to be one or each of those things. So maybe that's I don't know, maybe that's what I need to learn. Maybe I just need to keep going inwards and keep producing. Um because I mean, that's what it takes, right? We don't go to work one day and then, or, 1 or 2 days of the week and say I've done my work. You still have to go every day of the week. So guess that's that in the creative world for me too. Oh darn. Aren't there some bands out there that have 1 or 2 albums, they go on world tours, and no, doesn't work for everyone. All right. Well, you just heard my inner argument and my personal consolation. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's enough for today. And have a lovely day, any of those who have heard this and listened to the end. Cheers.